What's up, y'all, and welcome back to another episode of Old Youngins. As always, I'm Andrew.
And I'm John. Today's episode is going to be a rant on customer service in the age of millennials.
From lazy workers to utter incompetence, we cover everything wrong with today's customer service.
Like, subscribe, and leave a comment to let us know what you thought of this week's rant.
If there's any rant that's on your mind, let us know, and we may cover it in a future episode. Enjoy.
Old Youngins on the line.
So the first topic we're going to go over is my experience with Xfinity when I just moved down here to Florida. So I bought the service for Xfinity. What was it? I probably did it a few days before, maybe 5 days before we moved down here.
You sure it was 5 days before? Because you were setting things up the morning of the drive down there at the kitchen table. You were on your phone doing it.
Okay. Well, then it was like a day before we moved down there. Anyway, I wasn't expecting to, have it fully set up, but I got the service before we were moved in. Let's just say that.
Oh, okay.
So get down there and they said it would be easy to set it up, if you had a coax port where you could just plug it in, and if it was already hooked up to the Wi-Fi, you'd be good. So got here, tried to set it up, and the coax ports wouldn't work. So I guess the hurricane in the past had knocked out the Wi-Fi. So we were going to have a technician come out and set it up for us. So I called Xfinity, and they said, "Oh yeah, like we already got one coming out there to you. You don't even have to set it up. Like we already got one scheduled for you." So I was like, "Hey, I mean that works out." I didn't think, I thought I was going to have to set something up there, but they had it all ready, or supposedly had it all ready to go.
Well, that is like their standard thing. When you get it hooked up, they send somebody out like sometime soon, within the day, next day or so, to like make sure it's turned on at the box.
Yeah. So it was, what day did we move down here? Saturday? Was it a Saturday? No, it was a Thursday.
Thursday, yeah.
Thursday. So the technician was set to come out Saturday.
Friday. When we were driving.
Friday.
That's when yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because they came out on our way Friday.
Anyways, they were supposed to come out, but Michaela was already here when they were driving by.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so me and you are out somewhere at this point at Lowe's or something, getting something, and Michaela texts me and she's like, "Hey, were the Xfinity guys supposed to set something up?" And I said, "They were supposed to. I mean, we had an appointment or whatever." And she said, "Oh, well, they just drove by the house and didn't do anything." So I'm like, "Well, great. Now, we still don't have internet." So I end up chatting with Xfinity, and they say, "Oh yeah, they came out there and they they did what they said they were going to do." And I said, "Are you sure about that? Because they literally just drove by the house and didn't do anything." And so then, I'm sorry about that. We can have somebody come out the next Sunday or Saturday or Sunday. So we had to go a whole week without fucking internet, which, in this day of age, it's hard. It's hard. You become so reliant on it. And Michaela had to do stuff with her online job, so we ended up just relying on a hotspot. But with a hotspot, you only have so much data, and if you want to stream something, that takes up all your data.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just a hot mess. I was really frustrated with Xfinity. When we finally got somebody out here, too, the guy looked about, he was not motivated at all. He was just kind of stomping around, but he probably gets paid hourly, so, he was just trying to get that money, too. it was ridiculous, whatever it was.
That's
And we
funny.
still had to pay for service.
Yeah.
That's the ridiculous part. Like, we're not reimbursed for anything, even though we don't have the service that they're offering.
Yeah, they like to do that a lot. It's not just Xfinity. AT&T does the same thing too.
Really?
Like having worked for AT&T and gone out on those installs and like for internet and TV and all of it, they're all just the same.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, you should only be charged for using the service. If you don't have the service, then why am I paying you money? You know, I'm not paying for anything at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It's a one-way transaction.
Yeah, it really goes back to when you set it up initially. Like they didn't realize that you'll need the house set up too. And so
Yeah.
like, you know, that whole time everybody thought it was just going to be taken care of. So there weren't enough questions asked. People were just trying to get the things done, check a few boxes, go on about their day, and slip through.
Mhm.
Causes you not have to internet for a week.
Yeah. I think what happened, I think they drove by and saw a line already connected to the house or something like that, but it was actually connected to the other house.
Mm.
So that may have been the confusion. Anyway, I was fucking pissed.
So, the United States Postal Service is just the biggest thorn in my side when it comes to customer service and how they handle things. I mean, so just recently, what happened was I ordered some contacts from 1-800 Contacts, and so they come
Okay.
in this big branded box. Like, I get a little bitty box of contacts, and they come in a box, like, it's about the size of a small shoebox.
Yeah.
And it says 1-800 Contacts all over it, like bright blue. You know, very loud box. And so I'm watching the tracking and I'm needing them because I'm on my last pair of contacts. No telling when this pair is gonna go. And
I'm
so
in the same boat.
right, I see that they had been delivered to the Byram post office and they were supposed to be out for delivery. And so then I checked back the next day because I hadn't gotten them, and it said they were delivered. I'm like, no,
Mhm.
my wife stays home all the time, and neither her or my daughter remember seeing the post office come through. Especially at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which is way out of character for the post office in our neighborhood. Like, once you stay home for a while, you learn all these delivery people's schedules.
Yeah.
And so I call up there, like, hey, you know, I see where it got scanned in at the Byram post office, but it never made it out here to me. You know, can y'all just like look around? The post office is a very small post office, and so you know, they can probably just look around back there and see a
Mhm.
big blue box. And I know the guy I talk to, like I see him every time I go to that post office. I'm like, hey man, you know, could you just like see if there's a, a big blue box? It says contacts on it. You know, it's real important. You know, I need some contacts. And he's like, oh well, everybody's mail is important, and I can't do that for everybody. And I'm like, do you wear glasses? Like, or do you know somebody who wears glasses? Like, being able to see that's real important. He's like, yeah, but everybody's mail is just as important as everybody else's.
Yeah, but if everybody's mail is important, then you should be acting like their mail is important and go back there and check.
Right. And so he's telling me, he's like, well look, I'll check the tracking on it. And I'm like, oh, okay, you can check the tracking. I've checked the tracking, but okay, go for it.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I've got this special tracking. I'm like, oh, okay. He says, yeah, looks like it was scanned right in front of your house and delivered. I'm like, man, I was home all day. We didn't even see the postman come back through. Like, I don't know why you thought it was delivered. Could you like call the delivery driver? It's the same delivery driver every day.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, no, we can't do that. We can't second guess them. They did their job, but if it turns up, we'll let you know.
Oh my goodness. Did
And
you ever get them?
So I was steaming. I just told him something like he doesn't know how to do his job. And if he is doing his job properly, the whole organization is going to crumble. And hung up the phone. Just like, didn't even want to
Oh,
know
so
what he
you
had
didn't
to
get to
say.
hear his response or anything?
I didn't even need to hear his response. I just wanted to say my piece and get off the phone. I didn't want to get pulled back in so they could just take more of my energy.
Yeah.
And so, they didn't like do anything about it. USPS did not do a thing about it. He emailed me a couple days later and said, "Yep, your box is lost." And so I was like, whatever. And so I contact 1-800-contacts though, and the lady I talked to with them, I wasn't on the phone for more than 5 minutes, and she had shipped out the order again
Good.
with
Did you tell
express
her,
delivery.
do not use the U.S. Postal Service?
Yeah, we used UPS.
Okay, good.
She did. Yeah. So 1-800-contacts has excellent customer service.
Yeah, well, that's
The
good.
United States Postal Service, however, is the worst.
Yeah.
No wonder they have not made a profit in over 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll say this about mail carriers. UPS is the most reliable, in my opinion. We've had issues with FedEx since we've been here. And so we have to get these little fiber bites for our dog
Mm-hmm.
because he tends to have loose poops, and these firm him up. So we ordered these fiber bites from Chewy, and they ship through FedEx. So we get this email, and it says your package has been delivered. Open the door, nothing. So we're like, okay, well, this definitely, isn't here. So we get in contact with Chewy, and Chewy, just like 1-800-contacts, the customer service was great. He helped us out. He went ahead and sent another one, and we get an email a couple days later. Your package has arrived. Open the door, nothing. We're like, does FedEx not know what our address is or something like that? Like, what is going on here? So we get in contact with them
where's it
again.
going?
I don't know. So we get in contact with them again, and they ship another one. And this one finally gets here. Like, it actually arrives. And we're like, okay, thank goodness. A couple of days later, Michaela gets a call from FedEx in Dothan, Alabama, saying, hey, we got this package for you. Like, what's the right mailing address for this? And we were like, well, the right mailing address should have been on it.
Mm-hmm.
And the address they told us it was just something so off.
Oh,
it was
man.
like something Monroe Road. It just
yeah.
like we don't even live on a street called Road. It's a drive. So I don't know what happened with that. I don't know if it was Chewy's problem, but we were telling Chewy the right address when we were talking to the customer service guy. So I find
That's
it hard
wild.
to believe that he just put in something completely wrong.
Twice, yeah.
Like
you
twice.
put it in wrong, and then he put it in wrong.
Yeah. So we have four containers of fiber bites now. They finally got us all to us, but we have so many fiber bites. But on the bright side, those fiber bites are like $25 a thing. So we got $100 worth of fiber bites for $25.
Came out winning. Yeah, once I had ordered something from the post office. It was last year, around June. And so, like after everything had shut down, but it was June and people had kind of started figuring out that you could go back to work and like open things up.
Mm-hmm.
And yet I saw that my package was stuck in New Jersey and it had been there for like a week before I contacted the customer people. And so I called the post office too, and they just sent me around. They just transferred me, and I'm like, I don't have time for this. I just hung up after being on hold for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And Eventually, 3 months later, I received the package.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
3
it was just
months
insane.
later.
I'd forgotten about it. I wasn't
That's
even waiting
like-
for it anymore. I just chalked it up to being lost.
Yeah, that's like golf club delivery time.
Oh my goodness.
I think my least favorite thing about doing curated is people always ask like, "Oh, when are these clubs going to get to me?" And I'm
3
like,
day shipping.
"Oh goodness, it's going to be it's going to be months."
That's crazy.
It takes forever to ship golf clubs.
Why
I
is
don't know
that?
why it is. It may be the manufacturers, they just don't have, the supply. Or something, but we'll get these spreadsheets of the estimated delivery times, and it's always like 4 to 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, 1 to 2 months, and it's just ridiculous. Like how do you expect me to make these sales when they're not going to get the package until 2 months from now?
Right.
So it's kind of ridiculous.
Is everyone like that? Like, are all the people that ship clubs like that?
Yeah, if you buy golf clubs online, it's going to take a while. Unless like the retailer actually has it in stock. Because most of the time what they do is they'll put the clubs on their website and then they deal with the actual manufacturer of it.
Yeah, like a drop ship.
Yeah. Pops' story about returning his battery, has he told you this?
No, he hasn't told me this.
So he went to Pet Boys in Atlanta, and
Before we hop off this mail subject, UPS just last week did not deliver my textbooks.
oh,
So I had a box of 4 textbooks, like a heavy box, big box. And it made it to Jackson, got scanned in at Jackson on a Friday. So it was supposed to be delivered on that Monday. I waited till like that Wednesday or Thursday the next week. And, was like, hey, where's my box? And they're like, I don't know. It hadn't been scanned in a few days. We're just going to call it lost.
oh my.
So that was a pretty big bummer right there. Because
Yeah.
I had bought, they were like used textbooks. And so I couldn't get those same deals anymore. I ended up having to spend a little bit more money to get some more textbooks out. But it's okay. It worked out. I got them. Well, I'm still waiting on one, but I've gotten all the other ones.
Oh, I had something kind of like that happen to me at MC. I ordered it through the bookstore there at MC. And they would call you when your books got in, and they called me 3 times, like 3 separate times. Like they call me the first time, I'd go and say, hey, you're supposed to have my book. And they would say, oh, we don't have that book. I'm like, but you called me. Like,
You told me it
saying
was
you have
here.
my book. What's happening here? And they were like, oh, well, I guess, it got lost or something like that. Maybe they gave it to another student or something. I don't know. But it happened 3 separate times, and they never had my book. I mean, the third time I got it, but
That's
it's like,
funny.
what? Like, next time you call me, have the book in your hand and don't hand it out to anybody.
Right, put a sticker on it.
I think another issue that could have contributed to that was there was another student at the school, and his name was William Andrew Moore.
Maybe they always had his books come in, and they gave them to him. They called you for his books.
Yeah, and that happened a lot. I would get his mail all the time, but I knew this guy. Like, we knew each other.
Yeah.
And I swear he got some of my mail sometimes. He would never give me my mail. Because Aunt Lisa sent me a care package one time, and it said it was delivered and picked up, and I never got anything. But I got his credit card one time. They sent his credit card in the mail to me, and I got it back to him. But he can't give me a care package from my aunt.
Nope.
Literally ridiculous. Anyway, Pops' story.
So tell me about this
returning
battery from Pet Boys.
So he goes to Pep Boys and he gets this battery for his BMW, and apparently the battery, it's no good or whatever. And so he takes it back to the Pep Boys, and it's this woman, probably late 20s, early 30s, or whatever, prime millennial age. And he says, "Hey, I need to return this battery and get a new one." And she said, "Oh, well, we don't have that battery anymore, so I can't take that. You're going to have to go to another Pep Boys." And so Pops was like, "Okay. Okay." He probably said something to her. I can't remember exactly what he said. Anyway, he goes to another Pep Boys across town, which probably took him an hour and a half to 2 hours just to get across town there. And he gets there, and it's another person in that age range, and they tell him the exact same thing. And by this time, Pops, like, he's fuming. So he goes off on them, and then, just goes home, because what's he going to do? He can't return his battery,
Right. They can't, look up where that battery is?
Right? Like,
no AutoZone
just
can.
do your job. Like, you can do this. So he takes, he cools off over the next few days, and then he finally goes back to the Pep Boys that he was at, and this time it's an older man, and he said, "Hey, this battery isn't good." So the old man's like, "All right, well, let's test it." So tested it. It was no good. And the old man filled out an order and said, "All right, it'll be shipped right to you."
Yeah.
Like, how hard is that?
Not hard at all.
It's just people, they just don't want to do their job.
Yeah.
They just, nah, we don't have it.
A lot of people come up with excuses instead of finding solutions, and so
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, well, we don't have that. We can't do anything."
Exactly.
Where, you could just return it, take it back. You could give them a refund, or you could give them store credit for another one, put in the system, or get one shipped to you, order one. There's tons of solutions.
Yeah. So it's either, the problem is people are either lazy or they're stupid and they just don't know what to do. They just weren't paying attention when somebody was actually telling them how to do this, and they don't want to try to, take their time out and call somebody to find out how to do it.
Lack of critical thinking. They can't get from A to B to C because millennials, their whole education system has been given to them, just fed. This is next, this is next, this is next, this is next. Their entire life was just planned out and given to them. And so they never had to figure out how to get from point A to point B to point C.
Yep. And I think this happens to more people than we may think, because working at GameStop this last week, I had a guy who had a warranty on a PlayStation, but I guess it broke on him or something, so he brought it back in, and I had never done a return on a console in a warranty thing before.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't going to tell him, I don't know what to do, so I can't help you. And I'm the only one in the store at this time. My manager's not even there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking about it. I take it, and I kind of know, I've been fooling with computers long enough to where I can sort of figure out, if there's a thing on the register that says returns. So obviously, I'm going to go to returns first and see if, I can just follow through the motions.
Yeah.
There were a couple things though that I wasn't sure about. So I just told the guy, I was like, "Hey, this is my first one. If you don't mind, I'm going to call my manager real quick and figure out how to do this for you." And he was like, "Oh yeah, no problem, man." So, I call my manager, and my manager gives me the answers that I need, and I just go through the process. I order him a brand new one, and I'm going to have it shipped to him and stuff like that. And the whole transaction probably takes, it was a little time. It probably took 15 minutes for me to get him fully settled and everything. But the guy was really grateful that I actually took the time to do it. At the end of the day, he's getting his PlayStation.
Right.
And that's all he came in there for. And my manager actually came into work while he was still there. I had already checked him out, but he was looking at other things.
Mm-hmm.
And my manager came in and he was like, dude, this guy, he was just so patient with me and stuff. Like, he thought it was his fault that it was taking that long. I was like, no, I just, I had to go through the motions and figure that thing out for the first time. It's just ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. I've been there to
battery story.
Like figure that kind of stuff out. Like working with AT&T, people bring in all kinds of problems. And most of the people I used to work with in like the retail store wouldn't even deal with problems. Like somebody came in with a problem, they'd send them to a different store. They'd send them to the repair shop that won't even work on it. Like we all know they only handle warranty issues. They're not going to help you deal with this. But the people I worked with used to do that all the time. And AT&T makes it so, like, they make it cutthroat for the retail rep. So if you're not going to spend any money with them, they're not going to make any money. And so that's why they don't even waste their time on it. Because the way AT&T system is set up is all about making money and putting it on the consumer. Like anybody who's had cable or internet knows that after a year or two, your price is going to double or triple on your service. And so they give it to you, at cost is what they say, but it's probably not even at cost when they first give it to you on that promotion. And nobody ever tells you that it's going to be off a promotion.
Oh, I know.
But we should all know because it's been going on for years. Like, you should always know that it's going to be something higher after the first year or two. But even if, like, I've talked to so many people on the phone with AT&T's service while I was working for them, helping other customers get their stuff set up. And they'll tell them straight up, yep, this is going to be your bill. This is all it's going to be. And we'll lock you in for it. They just, that's like the line, we'll lock you in for it.
Dang.
Yep, they'll jump it right up. And then you call back in and they're like, yeah, it looks like you were on a promotion. We can't get you that same promotion. Maybe we'll get you a little bit lower. Or they'll change your package. So you'll have all the channels you wanted at first. But then it gets too high, and so they drop you down to a lower package. I mean, they hear the same stories over and over again, and they just follow their script. Like, there's no critical thinking going on. They just follow their script. And if you hit something that doesn't compute in their script, they just cycle back to a different topic and follow that script.
Yep.
Like, literal scripts are sitting in front of them.
Yeah. There was an episode of Friends where Phoebe is like a telemarketer or something like that, but that's all it. A lot of that sales is. It's just read from the script. Whatever they say, we got a response for it. Until there's not. Like the guy that said he was gonna commit suicide. When she was there, and then she started freaking out.
But he couldn't have gotten a better person because she wanted to solve that problem.
Oh, yeah. So this last week I had to get the oil changed on the Acura. And I went up there that day, and I guess it may have been before they were about to take their lunch break or something. I went up there at 2 o'clock, though. So I thought, they're already done with their lunch or whatever. So I go up there. And I've never been to this oil change place before, so I didn't know it's kind of like a drive-through thing, and not where you pull up with your car, go in, tell them like, "Hey, I need an oil change on this car," hand them your keys, and they take care of it for you. It's kind of like a drive-through thing. I didn't know that, so I pulled up to the parking lot and I got out of my car and I was just going to go talk to somebody. But I couldn't really find anybody, and then I started reading some signs and thought maybe I should just drive my car up. So I got in my car, drove up, and there was a guy out there, and he would look at my car and then look at his coworker. Look at my car and then look at his coworker. I said, "Hey, I just need to get an oil change." No response. He would not talk to me. He look at my car, look at his coworker. Like, does this guy expect me to change his oil? Does this
Right.
guy expect me to do my job? Like, how dare he? You know, like, I'm not supposed to work.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, I don't know. Eventually, he said something to me. He was cussing up a storm. He was like, this gonna be my last fucking one, man. I ain't doing it. You know, the boss can kiss my ass or something like that. And I was like, jeez, what is up with this guy right now? I just need my oil
Right.
changed. You know, it takes 5 minutes maybe to just change my oil real quick. There's not even a car in front of me.
Right.
Um, so you know, I get my car pulled in, and I'm talking to the guy. He's kind of calmed down a little bit. You know, I tried to, ease the situation. Well, when I first got in there, I wasn't having it either. He would look at me, and I stared right back at him, and I was like, "Dude, can I get an oil change?"
Right. Like, where you want me to
And
go?
like
I'm here
I'm not
for an
gonna
oil change.
I'm not gonna
Point me in
back
the right
down or
direction.
anything. Like, just change my fucking oil. You know, I'm gonna pay you.
Yeah, that's how this works.
Yeah, like, welcome to America. Welcome. This is capitalism, okay? And so he eventually calms down, and we kind of joke with each other. I'm still kind of over it, but he's gonna change my oil. I don't want him messing up my car on purpose or anything.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So he goes over to the computer, and then turns out they don't have the oil filter for the Acura, which at this point I'm not sure I believe. There's part of me that believes that they may not have it because Acura is just stupid, and they want you to go to the actual dealership and have stuff done on it. So that part's believable. Also, the Acura takes it takes the higher priced gas too, so it's just a high maintenance car. And so I kind of believe it, but there's a part of me that also still thinks that they had the part. He just
He's
did not want
bullshitting
to
you.
change my oil that day.
Yeah.
I did go back. He said they would have the part in Wednesday. So, well, I couldn't go Wednesday because I was sick. But then I went Friday, and I waited 2 hours.
Oh my goodness.
I waited 2 hours in line. I was the next person in line for 2 hours.
Oh my goodness. Same guy?
And the same guy was there, but he wasn't the one working on my car. I don't know what he was doing the whole time. I didn't really see him work at all. I just saw him kind of walking around. But they got my oil changed, and it was done. So by the end of it, I was thinking about changing the oil myself anyway.
You should
but
have.
I didn't want to go buy the jacks and stuff that I needed. I was just like, it probably will only take, because I was comparing it to, going in there and it not being busy that one time because there wasn't any cars there. So I was like, 5-10 minutes, that's all it's going to be. But waiting 2 hours, it was ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. That's funny. Yeah, some people, I mean, just, that blows me away. Like, some valet guys that I work with have attitudes about driving cars, So, like, they work valet. That's to drive cars. But
It's
a
like,
car will
what are
pull
you
up
getting
and they'll
paid for?
they're just like get mad at the car and like start pointing, like go over there, and like the guest is like, what?
It's like, why are you mad?
Like, here, just take my keys. You put it wherever you want. Like, I'm paying $22 a day for valet parking. You can park my car. And yeah, I've never understood that. Like, I mean, this is what you're here to do. And if you have a bad attitude, it's really just making your day worse. Like,
Yeah.
when you have a job, you choose to go to work that day, and you choose what attitude to have when you go in. And that usually determines the type of day that you're going to have. I'm trying to encourage this one person to quit her job and focus more on her side business full time because she just has an awful time at work every day. I mean, she's just not happy. She's overworked. They're understaffed. She's doing stuff that she didn't think she was going to have to do. And so I'm like, well, you just got to quit, because you got a bad attitude going in. That's going to give a worse service to the end user, and it's going to give worse
Mm-hmm.
service to your bosses. So just, do what makes you happy, do what you choose to do each day, and everyone will end up being happier.
That's eventually like the reason that I quit my bartending job in Indiana.
Yeah.
Because, I never knew what the fuck was going to happen when I walked in to a shift there. What food we were going to be out of, I was giving customers a disclaimer before they walked in that they would only have, two, choices of food that they could choose from.
Oh my goodness.
So it just got ridiculous.
That's going to do it for today, guys. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Old Youngin. We rant, we rave. Remember to choose your attitude as you go out into the world and light up somebody's day. Let us know what you thought of today's episode. Old Youngins, out.
Old Youngins off the line.
Old Youngins is produced by Fried Green Tomatoes Podcast Network. For more podcasts like this, please visit Fried Green Tomatoes Podcast Network on YouTube. If you would like to join the team, please email friedgreentomatoespn@gmail.com. That's friedgreentomatoespn@gmail.com. Thank you.